Well, you don't have to listen to us. Listen to President Schultz and what he said, the importance that is of in this year of all. Dylan Payne on the carry here for the Cougs. Yeah, there you go with all the offensive numbers plus the defensive highlight. Stephen Hall intercepting one in the end zone, actually probably 102 or so, but statistically in the NCAA it's 100.
Longest return in school history. We made history today, you and I, Ted and Nigel. CW breaking records in its first debut. I love it.
And on third down, another run play there, but Portland State knowing there's going to be a run, so they smother that, and Cougs can't get the first down. So that'll bring Janikowski out again to punt.
Now that's going to be an example for offensive coordinator. Coach Arbuckle's going to be able to talk to him. Hey, 4-minute offense. This is where we got to salt the game away. We got to pick up a first down. You got to impose your will if you're the offensive line up front.
One first down would have ended the game.
Yeah, and that's the end. And now you got to give it over to Portland State, who's going to do nothing more than want to score some more points and embarrass the defensive side for the Washington State Cougars. So, you know, a lot to go around here when you're going through the film come tomorrow.
You can tell Janikowski's been hanging with Nick Haber because he's running around there doing the Aussie punt thing. So 2:11 to go. You know, we showed you a little montage at the beginning about welcome to the fight. And that's been sort of a theme that's been proposed towards what Washington State and Oregon State go through this year. And I think it's wonderful for anybody that's still with us around the country to know, what that meant. For example, was this spring when Jake Dickert had to confront the reality of what was happening to Washington State athletics. And there were some budget cuts across the entire athletic department, so nobody gets spared. And Jake Dickert led the rally, basically rallied the troops in the football building, and everybody stepped forward, and they were able to save jobs and keep their football staff intact, as it, head count wise, as it should be. And I think that's just marvelous.
Attitude reflects leadership. And when you got a leader like that who's willing to step up in a time of need everywhere to sacrifice for the well-being of your coaching staff, right? Guys you trust that you need to make you whole. And so he doesn't like to talk about it. It's something that happened, though, and it's something that should be known.
Exactly, and we understand Jake's very much that way. It's not about me, that's true. But it's why I asked the president when he was there about the leadership that was sorely lacking on a lot of fronts in this conference in recent years, the kind of leadership that you need now. That was what, to me, that spoke volumes about that.
Well, I also think it speaks volumes to the idea of, hey, things are tough, yeah, adversity strikes. I'm not just going to cut and bait and run to greener pastures, You had some situations where guys did that here. And unfortunately, that's the way the world works. But that's why it's so special when you find those that are in a role of leadership that behave like leaders, Ted.
All right, here we go with Portland State in the game now, and they have Haskell back in at quarterback, so it may just be a function of trying to run this out. And the Vikings will get their ride back to Portland, prepare for another road trip next week. And again, Big Sky football in the FCS level, no joke.
And the Big Sky Conference is just loaded with teams. Yeah. You got the likes of Montana, who played in the national championship a year ago, Montana State, Weber State. You have the teams down in California, Sac State, Cal Poly, all those teams that are Idaho. I mean, this conference is loaded for them. And
how about Bruce Barnum's son plays for Montana now. He's a Grizz. And on Portland State's staff, elevated this year to special teams coach Robbie Houck, Robbie Houck's son, whose dad Bobby has been a very successful coach at Montana.
Very successful. Tim Houck, of course, his brother, Bobby Houck's brother, played. I had a chance to play against in the NFL when he played for the Philadelphia Eagles. Kind of a hero to a lot of Montanans when you get to see a guy go off and play in the NFL. He certainly was one of mine. It's a tough conference to play in, and you're going to have to be tough and do a lot of things good offensively.
Look at that. Washington State didn't give in there in the final offensive play of the game for Portland State, stopping an attempted 4th down gain. And these are the guys that love to get that chance to play. That's Frank Cusano right there. You see a freshman from Granite Bay, California. That's just outside Sacramento.
Good response. I think that's going to be something that Coach Dicker can take away. You're right, responded well, and he wanted to see a response today. When things got tough, when things became difficult, this is what this game was for. Because guess what? It is going to get difficult next week. It's going to get difficult in the Apple Cup a week later. And those 2 weeks really may hinge this season on where they're at when you and I end up in Corvallis when Oregon State plays Washington State for the quintessential Pac-12 championship game.
I love that. A long ways away, but that does it for this opener. And the Cougars, just the ultimate thing, they get the win. They score 70. Health, I guess, final health report card to be determined. And currently on CW Network. And that's where Oregon State with Giovanni McCoy, who transferred from Idaho, and he is the starting quarterback now. Jam Griffin back to the Beavers, one of their running backs in their game with Idaho State right now on CW Network. John Mateer, yeah, take a little victory lap, John. That's very good.
Thank you for joining us for today's game.
All right, let's go down to Nigel.
Well, Ted, here with Coach. Coach, great start to the season. What would you like most from your team today?
I think a little bit of our resolve. I think we had to deal with a bunch of different things. Credit to Portland State. They came out here, they fought hard. But there's so much growth that's needed between game 1 and game 2. And I feel like that's what our team's going to do. So we got to be a new team next week. We got to see these learns and get back to playing Coug football.
Well, in terms of growth, how about this? John Mateer, 11 for 17, 352 yards passing, 55 rushing, responsible for 6 touchdowns. What did you think of his performance?
Well, I think he fought off some early nerves, a couple errant passes to go play in rhythm, and I think that's the biggest thing I wanted to see out of John. I don't think he pressed. I think he showed how versatile that he can be. I mean, this guy with the ball in his hands is dangerous, and you got to see it. So he's going to keep getting better just like everybody else. We're going to come back to work, and he's going to be humble about this performance, which is good.
Well, I know we got to talk a little defense. We talk about your team's pursuit, their tackling, and their takeaways. How would you grade their 3 phases of relentless finish today?
Yeah, I appreciate it. I got to see it, really. I thought we could have been a little bit more disruptive up front. Credit to Portland State, but that side of the ball has got to get going a little bit because we didn't get a takeaway. We got one big one. But I'm a defensive guy. Anytime it hits 30, we're not where we want to be.
Well, we appreciate the time, Coach. Good luck next week.
All right, go Cougs.
Back to you, Ted.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Nigel, and yeah, you hit it, Ryan. That's exactly what you expect Dicker to say. He's more concerned about the 30 than the 70.
Yeah, that's a defensive mindset, and he doesn't want to get into shootouts all year long with these teams when you have to go on the road and play at Fresno and Boise and things like that. That's a different type of mentality when you get a defense that can shut down some people.
Well, thanks to our CW crew. Our game produced by Jason Arminio, directed by Scott Barkey. A pleasure to kick off CW Football Saturday alongside Ryan Leaf and Nigel Burton. I'm Ted Robinson saying so long from Pullman.